All right, welcome to the Fight with Teddy Atlas. I'm Ken Rideout, joined as always by the legend Teddy Atlas, and today's special guest is the new UFC pay-per-view king, Jorge Masvidal. Jorge, welcome to the show.
How you brothers doing, man? How my brothers doing?
Good. It's good to have you with us.
Hey guys, before we jump into things with Jorge, we just want to give a quick shout out to Teddy's new boxing training program offered online through BJJ Fanatics, dynamicstriking.com. Teddy provides a breakdown on the fundamentals of boxing. Use the promo code TEDDY20 to get 20% off this program and anything else on the site. Congratulations, man. Awesome performance. I know it wasn't the result you were looking for, but on 6 days' notice to give the champ 5 hard rounds, well done. Like I said, I know it's not what you expected, but we were all proud of you on this end.
Thank you, man. It was definitely an opportunity, and it was going to be a journey just to have to make the weight, to travel, all these things, you know. So obviously I'm not happy with the result, but the journey, I'm so happy that I got to do it. You know, the whole experience going to Dubai, everything was and especially with the corona stuff, you know, everywhere we're landing, it's weird. Everybody's keeping their social distancing. It was a very weird time to be even traveling. So the whole experience, I think, was something that truly was once in a lifetime experience, and there was no way I could have passed up on it. I didn't like the shape, obviously, that I was in, but the experience was so memorable. I'll remember this for the rest of my life. You know, this whole experience.
You earned the right to take care of your family, and congratulations on that.
Thank you, Teddy.
Really, really, from my heart. And you will. I believe that it's still your destiny to win a world title. I believe that sometimes you have to be tested to see if you deserve that destiny. And I think that in my way of looking at things, your destiny in this time was to take care of your family, to get an opportunity after all these fights, after all the hard work, after doing it the right way, after earning it, to get a chance to fight for the title. But when you got the chance, the powers that be, whatever you believe in, said, okay, he got this chance of destiny to do something that everyone wants to do, take care of their family. Now, to do the rest of it, to take care of his soul for the rest of his life, we have to see how he behaves here. And if he behaves here properly, then he will get an opportunity to fight for the title and fulfill that destiny. That's how I feel.
Well, that was, man, ouch. I need to have you in my corner, Teddy. I'm gonna whip the checkbook out, Teddy. How much is it gonna cost? Let's be frank.
No, we're not. We're talking right now, you know, people, and we're talking things that I know it's easy to say, it's more important than money, but we're talking about things that can't be influenced by money. It has to be something that you feel, something that is important because you feel that it's important, because it affects people, you know, in a way, like I said before. That's when people talk about immortality, to me, of course, that's something that there's nothing we can go to a fountain to get that. But there is a form of immortality, and that's it. And you can't buy that. You can't pay for that. The immortality that people remember you. They remember you because you affect their life. They remember you because maybe you made somebody else think that they could do something that they never dreamed they could do. You made somebody else maybe have hope when they had given up hope. And that, to me, that's immortality. That is a blessing, a gift. And when you get a chance to win a world title, you go into a place where now you can affect people beyond yourself. And, you know, I think that was the test for you to think of all these things. You just said something at the opening. You said this experience Well, that invokes a lot of things. That involves a lot of things, that experience. And I think that when you get another chance, which you will, you're going to have to earn it. You're going to have to win a couple fights, but you will fight for the title again. If you are what I think you are, you will fight for the title again. You will.
It's not a doubt.
And then all that experience that you went through, it will take you somewhere. It will take you where, how can I impact other people other than myself? I already took care of my family. How now can I impact other people? How can I do things that will last forever? How can I be larger than myself? And I think that will be all. And that's what the gods, and I'm just, saying it in a wordy way. I don't mean the gods. I'm just saying that's what it's meant to be. That's what it's meant to be. For you to search out what is the meaning to this. And this will give you a chance to search that out.
Yes, sir.
And to know that the next time you get in that ring for the world title. You have a lantern now. I sent you a text and you told me that your number was changed. So you never got it. But the text that I sent you after the fight was, you have a lantern now that will shine light on the places that you never had a chance to have lit for you before. It will shine light on those places the next time you go there. Use that lantern.
Amen. I sure will, man.
I know you will. And you look good. You look good. Tell us about, no, you do. You look good. I see a little mark on your forehead there. What
I got one here. This one was the headbutt, and this one I think was from a punch or elbow. I'm not sure. And I got one in my chin from a little headbutt as well. This one wasn't that bad, though. Not much.
More importantly, can I see your feet after he stomped the crap out of them for 5 rounds? Didn't affect the dance moves, I can see.
No. Been bike riding, lifting some weights, those really don't hurt. It's not something that's effective, I think, for as far as for scoring or for damage. I don't really think it's too effective, but it's something.
They didn't hurt at the time. It looks like it hurts.
Nah, you got a lot of adrenaline pumping at that time, so it definitely
Gotcha.
hurt,
Hey, you know what? Since you brought that up, go ahead, chuck that Cuban coffee down because that's rocket fuel, brother. I remember I was at the Olympics doing the Olympics. I did 4 Olympics for NBC, and I'm trying to remember which one it was. I'm not sure. It might have been in Athens, but they had the great Cuban team there, and they stayed by themselves. They were they isolated themselves. But they were special. Like everyone looked at them when they stayed by themselves. Everyone's eyeballs were on them because they were the greatest amateur team there was. And I remember watching them, and they'd all the coaches and a few of the guys would get together. And I remember one day it was a nice feeling. So they sent someone over to me because again they stayed isolated. They sent someone over to me. Teddy, would you like to join us with a little Cuban coffee? And I said, listen, I appreciate that. That means a lot. But if I drink that right now, I'm about to go on the air. Nobody's going to understand what the hell I'm saying. I'm going to be too fast. I'm going to be faster than I need to be. Right now, I need to slow it down, control it. And one of the guys drinking the coffee that smiled was the great Teofilio Stevenson, the three-time gold medalist. That doesn't happen too often.
It's crazy. I would have loved to see even an exhibition, just him and Ali. If that actually would have happened, that would have been.
Yeah, that was something, Jorge, that they all talked about. Like, what that would have been. Of course, he was in a country he was where he wasn't allowed to fight, and so it wasn't to be. Speaking of adrenaline, it just made me think of this. Were you affected by no crowd? I know the last time you fought was in Madison Square Garden. You talk about a contrast. You talk about the opposite. Oh man! Now
it's an experience.
So tell me. Go ahead. Tell us. Did it take anything away from you? Like when that moment comes and you need that shot of adrenaline, was it missing because the crowd wasn't there a little bit? Talk to me.
Definitely feels different to fight with a crowd than without a crowd. I got blessed in my career that I got to fight all over the world before I came to the UFC. So in Japan, it was like dead silence until there was an action or a move, and it was like the coolest thing. But during the action, I could hear my corner perfectly. I could hear their corner. So this wasn't the first time that I experienced something like this. So Japan was amazing because you throw somebody or hit them with a nice move, and you hear that ooh or that ah, and it was so coordinated. You know, it felt like if somebody was holding up a sign and they told them what to do. Every time I fought, it was like that. I got to compete there 5 times, so I love that. I also got to do some fights where the tapes were delayed, so there was no audience. It was just crew members and like a couple of special invites, like maybe the president of the company and his best friends or whatever. That company was Bodog. So I knew what I was going to get into right away. Definitely the crowd. I enjoy the crowd, whether they're booing or they're cheering. It's uplifting, you know. It definitely helps, keeps you motivated. If they're against you, you want to prove them wrong. If they're with you, kind of like, you know, gives you a little stride to it. So it kind of felt like a really good sparring session, which you don't want to lose. You know, your coach is there, and you never want to lose in front of your coach. I'm the type of guy that when my coach is watching and he's telling me to do something, I'm gonna get it done. You know, so it hurts in that sense even more because I could hear some of the things and my legs just weren't responding. So it bothered me. I gained a little bit of trauma and from it, but good trauma to motivate me trauma.
Speaking of your coach, Mike Brown wasn't there, and I think he was FaceTiming with Abe. Can you talk a little bit about that and the challenges that presented and how it worked or how it didn't work? What pros and cons?
It was definitely rough, but these guys are geniuses. Mike was giving Abe great instructions, and Abe, he's not a coach, right? Like he's not in the gym all the time, but he does know what I do well. He sees me quite often, and he's a guy that remains like amazingly calm in the corner. For the little bit of experience that he has with all the guys that I've coached, that have coached me and worked with me, Mike Brown will tell you, my coach Paulino will tell you, anybody will tell you that's worked the corner with him, he can just remain so calm. So he was able to give the advice to me that Mike Brown was giving perfectly. It obviously it's not the same as having Mike Brown there, but it was as close as we possibly could, you know.
Okay, going into this fight, for me, breaking it down, looking at it as a trainer, it's pretty obvious, but I always talk about fighting being about geography. Who gets the best geography to use their abilities to the better? Yeah. Who gets the best geography? The geography, obviously, going into that fight for me was you needed to be able to own the outside, and he needed to be close.
Yeah.
And for me, the most important, if I broke it down very, very definitive, the most important thing that you needed was legs. Because to keep separation, I know it's about striking. Nobody's got to tell me. And you're a tremendous striker. And by the way, you landed some good right hands. I started thinking for a second, oh, this is Zaire. This is Muhammad Ali. This is George Foreman. He got a little space and he landed that right. And I started getting a little excited. Like, whoa, he's gonna pull it off. He's gonna have a spot. And he knows what he's doing. But getting back to what I'm saying, for me, the most important asset for you was your legs in this fight. Yeah, you got to move your hands, but you can't move your hands if you don't have the proper geography, if you don't have the proper space. Yeah. So for me, it was about that. I know from my 45 years in this business that when you cut weight like that, the thing that gets affected the most is the legs.
Yeah.
And I'm making no excuses for you. You're a man. You took the fight. You signed a contract. And when you sign a contract, baby, you better be ready to go do what you got to do, baby.
Well, yeah, I'm ready to give it and I'm ready to take it.
Exactly. And that's
old school.
And that's what I respect.
Yeah.
And but reality is reality. We're talking reality here. We're talking honestly. How much were your legs affected?
Definitely were affected. But I'm not gonna rely on that, man. I don't even want to. What I'm gonna do is
when you look for them, were they hiding on you a little bit?
I didn't feel I had power. That's one thing. And going into this fight, I knew I had to fight the type. I'll explain kind of the type of shape that I was in going into this fight.
Yeah.
I couldn't run a whole mile at my usual pace, let's say, but I could sprint decent. I had a good 400, a good 800-yard dash in me. But I had to take spaces in between those, and he was very good at not letting me get those little breaths that would allow me to explode again. So he was running like a good mile, as I was running sprints in that mile. As I was getting off the cage and stuff, that was costing a little bit of energy. I'd maybe land a couple shots. He'd get right back into his space where I needed to again do a sprint to get off that cage. I wasn't my recuperation time wasn't there how it usually is. So it's something that we're immediately going to address for the next one. I'll make sure that, usually when I compete, I cut around 7 to 9 pounds the week of the fight, So it won't be an issue. It hasn't ever been an issue at 170 pounds my weight. So it won't be an issue when the rematch takes place.
Did he close the gaps faster than you thought he would?
Yes and no. There were some things that he took me by surprise. His squeeze, how he's this. So he's not an explosive guy, but he does have good strength, Like he has good bearing strength where he could keep the same amount of strength throughout the whole time. Explosiveness, he wasn't the most explosive guy I felt, but he was one of the more impressive guys I felt in just a good squeeze where he doesn't fade. His grip strength is good too. He has good physical conditioning, and he was able to keep the weight on me as well on the fence, and do it with technique. So where he was using his strength and his technique to put me up against the cage. So, I give him that. In that period, he did surprise me more than I thought, and I knew that he'd be good at this area because he's shown it throughout his career. He's maybe a little bit better than I anticipated there.
Okay, let me ask you: when Ali fought, I'm not getting off of that. I'm sorry, I'm making you Ali right now. But when Ali fought Foreman, he didn't, just like a guy who cut weight, a guy who didn't have a full camp like you. You don't know exactly what you're going to be until you get in there. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Ali got in there in Zaire, and he didn't know exactly what he was going to, at that stage in his life. Almost like a guy not in top shape. He was compromised because of his age. You were compromised because of the lack of time to train, prepare. A little similarities. He got in there, and like special people do, he made it up as he went. And he realized that I cannot use my legs and move all night for 15 rounds with this guy coming at me. I'm not going to be able to do it.
And the EQ had to be a factor.
Yeah. So he invented something called the rope-a-dope. he did. He didn't go in there saying, I'm going to do the rope. He just realized that instinctually, innately, he understood that if I stay in close and let him burn out, I can rest. It sounds crazy because the guy's throwing at you, but I can rest. I'm not burning up as much fuel as I would have to on the perimeter to keep him off me and to be able to be effective. So he created this thing called the rope-a-dope, and later on got a chance to have spurts. I was thinking, did you do a little roper cage?
I would try to explode. Once when he was just holding me and I could feel his strength there, and I'm like, it's gonna expend me a lot of energy to get out of here, and then I'm not gonna have much in the strike department. I'll just let him kind of fade, and then I'll explode, and then I'll try to get my strikes. And so at times I would try to do that and try to conserve my energy like that, so I could have my energy to try to elbow him in the nose or knee him in the ribs, because obviously I'm not, my energy where I'm trying to spend in my real estate is hurting him. I don't want to pepper him up with shots. I want to actually hurt this guy because that's how I feel I win fights. So my energy was trying to be spent, trying to break a bone or two.
Yeah, I figured that you were looking, for me, you were looking
another thing I want to say about the Ali is that how crazy is it, though, to have that strategy against George Foreman, though, because at the time was the heaviest hitter possibly of life, correct? It was, I don't know, at the same time, that it sounds like a great strategy when you think about it. Against George Foreman, no, pick another guy better to test it out. And it's just,
you're right.
It speaks to his courage and his commitment to a fight, man. And those are the guys that why we admire him, because that's just that's a commitment that I don't think many other humans could have,
And it's partly this. He understood that he could drain him physically, which, he did, but mentally. that he could make him feel like he was having no impact, like he had no choice. You always have a choice. But he actually made it feel to George like, tonight, it's not in my control. It's in his control. He was able to make him do that, to drain him mentally, to deteriorate him mentally.
And a guy that had never been deteriorated, a guy that seemed truly unstoppable, you know?
Yes.
What he was doing, what he did, what he had just done to Joe Frazier. I mean, how was he not in Ali's head? You would think a lot, and that's a steel trap, man, that he had up there. Because when I've seen the whole history and the documentaries on it, I'm like, Ali could have easily gone in there so defeated, you know, and quite the opposite.
He was the only one who believed.
Yeah.
He turned to his corner. He turned to his people and he said, "What do you guys look? You think you're going to a funeral? What is wrong with you guys? I'm winning this fight. I'm winning this fight. I know what I'm doing. I know why I'm here. I know what's going to happen because I'm not going to let anything else happen."
Madman. Love it. I love it. Though, see that when you said immortality, I'll remember that. It doesn't matter what happens. I'll always remember that. You know?
But Jorge, that's exactly it. That's immortality. When people step outside themselves and do something that other people can't do or can't imagine being done. That's immortality, baby. That's it.
So realm of Ali, though, is something so, man, that's a class all of its own.
I just saw you in spots where I said to myself, he's doing a little roper cage, and because even though he's in the wrong geography, and you were, because that's his territory, that's his neighborhood, you know, with the wrestling and everything else and the physical strength, and he's terrific. And by the way, he's a terrific guy. He's like you. He's got a personality and a manhood to him that does nothing but serve this business and serve your sport outside as well as inside the ring, both of you. So you both should be, I think, congratulated on that, because that's special and that's important. But when I saw you on the inside, I said, look, he's in the wrong place. He knows where he is, and but if he goes outside too soon, then he's going to have to use too much energy to stay out there. So he's going to be inside in the wrong place, be able to, you know, figure out the spots where he can get back outside. And then when he gets back outside, explode in spots, because that's what it had to be, because you didn't have the gas tank to do it consistently. And I thought that's what you wanted to do. And I thought, to your point, every once in a while it looked like he had a better grip on you than maybe you thought, and you couldn't quite get out when you wanted to get out. That makes sense?
Makes a lot of sense. That's a good way of looking at it. There was times where I thought I was going to get out, and he just kind of like pressed me there or changed up his level and got into a single leg, and I defended that, and then we ended up back in the cage. You know, so it's just several adjustments I got to do on the technical side. And obviously, I got to have the gas tank to back those decisions up, because it's going to take gas, you know, and you have to be in physically good shape to wrestle, to have a man that knows how to wrestle and has all his weight leaning on you. You got to be in good shape, you know. And I've never had a problem before in cardio in a fight, so I'm not worried about it for the rematch at all.
Hey, Jorge, you've been sneaking around a little bit when nobody's been looking. You've been working on those wrestling skills, because I saw, I'm no expert on this thing, but I know fighting, and I know when something's good and something's bad and something's different. You were able to do two things that I think surprised him and other people. One, stay on your feet. Two, when you did get taken to the floor, get back up.
Yeah.
To me, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I love wrestling. As much as I love striking, I love wrestling. It was always a dream of mine, like growing up, like one of the things that I thought I could do. And then there was this thing called GPA that didn't allow me to do it, but I wanted to wrestle in college. I wanted to try to go as far as I could in wrestling and bring that into my fighting. So I love wrestling equally like striking. I'm a huge fan of it. I keep up a lot with collegiate sports. So I like to wrestle, whether it be a pastime or not, you know. I just love wrestling, so I invest a lot of time into it.
A lot of guys like wrestling, but they're not good at it. You were, and when they're in there with a guy of his level, all joking aside, I mean that's his forte, or one of them anyway. To be able to handle yourself again, to stay on your feet, to get off the floor, to get back up. I was impressed. I said, this guy's been doing some extra work on his wrestling stuff.
Thank you, sir. It didn't come easy, man. I had to work for it. There's a lot of things that I got naturally in striking, more like a good sense of awareness, a radar, and hand speed. I was blessed with that, I could say. Since the moment I walked into the gym and the coaches could see it, like, oh, you have gifts in these departments, you know. Power, I had to work for it, and endurance and things like that, I had to work for it more. But in wrestling, I also had advantages, you know, where I had like decent hips since like the first day I started, and I kept expanding on some of those things. And there was things that I was just horrible at. Like I wasn't the strongest guy on the mat, and I knew it. So I've worked a lot on getting my strength level up, and I think it showed a lot on Saturday.
Hey Jorge, I don't know if you got a chance to hear our interview with Dustin Poirier last week, but one of the things he told us is this guy, you know, referring to you, he said, this guy isn't just getting off the couch. He was my main sparring partner. He had wrestlers in there with him. And he literally moved the line from like plus 265 down to like at one point plus 170 on you. I think a lot of people were listening, but maybe talk about the difference when you're just staying busy versus when you know you have a fight, the kind of difference in mindset, mentality, preparation, etc.
Okay, so once it was like maybe 5 to 6 weeks out, I think we found out that they were going to go with Gilbert already, or the negotiations weren't going away. So it wasn't official that it was Gilbert, but negotiations weren't going away. Then it was official that it was Gilbert, but we had known already for some time. I didn't want to get burnt out. I wanted to see who's going to win this fight. So I was still training. I was helping out friends of mine like Dustin and things like that. But I wasn't in the gym all day, every day. I was doing other things. I was running on the beach a lot. I was taking advantage. The beaches have been opened up. So I was running in the sand. I was lifting heavy weights. I was in a different phase than a preparational phase, a specific phase for fighting. So I was doing a lot of general conditioning. I was in the gym about 3 times a week helping out my teammates. And then the rest of my sessions, so I put in about, 14, 15 hours in a week. And then I switch it up, you know, sometimes a little less. If I'm closer to a fight, I'm just doing specific. Sometimes if I'm doing more general conditioning, I'm doing more. So I was having longer conditioning sessions, I would say, like maybe running longer distance instead of doing a lot of sprints now. So that's kind of what was going on there, you know. And I wasn't in like, when I'm closer to a fight, I'm a lot more on the mat. It's a lot more specific, a lot more geared for what's about to happen in short bursts, you know. 5-minute goes, 5 of them, and that's it. That might be a workout for that day, and we kept it intense. And after that, I do some pads. I'll do a lot of rehab after that, and then maybe just a technique session going over the stuff that we're going to do at the fight, the specific stuff. I wasn't in that phase now, obviously, you know. And in 6 days, I did as much as I could to emulate that phase and do what we've always done, or the procedure would have been 6 days away, minus the weight. And it was just, like I said earlier at the beginning, it was a journey, because the whole quarantine thing, the corona, I was quarantined in Vegas. I'm not making excuses for me, because this was all of us. This was every single fighter. Usman, from me and Usman to everybody in the card. It was just such an interesting, weird dynamic for us. Everybody had to lose weight in their hotel room. Everybody was quarantined from Vegas to Dubai. We were quarantined like 2 or 3 days in the hotel room, you know. And then after that, you're in a weird space though, because you're not really allowed to go many places. It's crazy. It was madness, but it was an experience that's for life with me. That was a huge journey that I just took there. That just gives me more. I'm the type of guy that gives me fire to my engines, you know. Knowing that I pulled through all that, knowing exactly what I did, it just gives me more motivation to do something a little bit bigger and better next time.
With all the things that were compromised, you know, because of the short notice, obviously the one that everybody will look at is having your weight higher than it normally would be. Like you said, a week off, maybe it's 6, 7, 8 pounds, which is nothing, you know, to cut that weight. And this time, of course, it was a lot more. So everybody will look at that, of course, the lack of proper conditioning, proper training. But also, normally you would be able to get out there such a far away place earlier to acclimate. You know, that's a long trip. That takes a lot out of you. That could take 2-3 days out of you right there. You didn't have time to spare yet, 6 days. How much did just the traveling impact you on short notice?
definitely the travel impacted me and everybody on that card because we all more or less had the same time frame. We all flew around the same. I don't know if everybody got in at the exact same time, but I knew a big bulk of it. They got in right around the same time as me, like 4 days out. And what was also interesting is that we had to have the time for America. So a lot of these fights, these guys are fighting at 6 a.m. I fight, I think, at around 8 a.m., something like this. So some of these guys are fighting at 4 a.m. That's crazy, you know? So we're getting a time switch over there when we land, right? Because it's obviously a different time than over here. And then you have to gear yourself to go and be at your most awake and alert time at 4 a.m. So not just for me, but everybody on this card, I think people don't know how amazing they did. And I don't know if a lot of these people want to say it or not, but I want to just give a round of applause to everybody who was in the card, win or lose. It wasn't an easy feat to get adjusted. And a lot of other fighters commentating this and that from the sidelines, and not knowing what these guys went through, need to shut their mouth because they don't know what they're talking about. You know, it was I commend everybody. I got over 50 pro fights. I find places like South Korea, Japan. A lot of these guys, it was their first time fighting overseas. And then under these weird circumstances, it's just a round of applause. And I take my hat off to a lot of the young ones that it's very impressive, you know.
Did they adjust their training time? You know, you just talked about it. Did they, the last 5 days over there, 6 days, whatever it was, did they adjust? At that point, you're just shaking out. Obviously, you're not doing any significant training. The hard work's been done. You're doing technical stuff, loosening up and all that stuff. But did they try to adjust that time to 4, 5 in the morning, maybe, to get used to, you know, what time they were going to actually fight at?
I don't know everybody how they did their thing, but I would assume so. So we tried to emulate that at 8 in the morning, be awake. So when we got there, it was a little weird. We got there at like
actually got it right the last day
we got it okay the first day, and then you know it was rough. So we were trying to be at our most awake from like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. You know, we had to adjust with the time that when we got in there as well. So it was a little tough, but everybody I think had a hard time with that. And then we're quarantined in the room, so that was interesting too. You know, so the rooms were smelling like a gym and stuff.
Yeah. You don't want your roommate wouldn't like it too much. You have to better have your own room. Yeah.
Everybody was having to put up with the gym smells, you know.
Yeah, nobody was hanging out in your room if they didn't have to.
No.
Going back to the thing I was talking about, making the analogy, we talked about with Zaire, and you jumped on it about how incredible it was that Ali went into his geography inside and, you know, used that to break them down. I mean, that's what he did. And then he finished them on the outside where he could, of course, be at his best. When Foreman was inside with Ali, the one thing he was doing, he was wide. He was like, all wide punches. And he got a little out of control with himself, where he overdid it with these wide. And Ali wanted that. Ali invited him in. Come on, pound on me, George. Come on. Yeah, come on, George. Come on. There it is.
And took him to the body when George Foreman was known to break ribs. It's just something where I just go like, what is this guy made out of? You know, like how much of a trance does he put himself in? Because we saw him, I don't know, we saw this guy jackhammer his ribs for I don't know how many rounds. Just
but Ali knew that Foreman had a little bit of a bully mentality. And when you stand up to the bully, he doesn't know what to do. This never happened before. Nobody ever stood up to a bully. I don't know. And then they get lost. They get something called doubt starts to creep in there. And when that creeps in, there's room for other things to be pushed in there. And Ali pushed those other things in there when he got that crack. So I'm thinking when he's in there with you, Ali had Foreman throwing these wide shots where he expended too much energy and it wasn't efficient because a lot of it was being blocked. But your guy, Usman, to his credit, he was going downstairs to your body. He was throwing little short shots to your body. Did that take a lot out of you? Here we go. Yeah.
Nah. he couldn't get his body behind him. They were just arm punches, and in boxing you have to be in great physical conditioning to take body shots, and that's I think like a year-round thing.
Yeah.
I pride myself that I've never been dropped from a body shot in sparring or in a fight. But in MMA, when it's Muay Thai, especially Muay Thai, and there's knees and shins involved, the conditioning that we have for the body is even at a higher level because one knee can destroy you. So just the conditioning that I do along, even if I'm not fighting, my coach will give me numerous kicks here just to keep me this condition, because it goes away. It's like a callus,
I thought it was smart on his part to go downstairs to your body, to make sure. I always say, you want to take someone's legs away, take the air out of the tires. Yeah. Go downstairs, bang him in the body so he can't use those legs later. And I thought it was smart on his part, going there. Also smart because he knew you didn't have a full training camp, where your body.
Like you said, he found his best real estate and he stuck to it,
Yeah.
Hey, Jorge, I want to be sensitive to your time. I know you're like in high demand here today, and your team's giving us a 1 or 2 minute signal. So before we let you go, I want to be respectful of the time you've given us. Before we let you go, who do you want next?
We're gonna work on it. We're gonna talk to the company. I obviously want Usman next. That's the only. I'm a madman. I just want Usman. My sights are set on him. I want the immediate rematch, of course, and I'm going to campaign for myself, I'm going to campaign for us to do it, put the pressure with Dana. We're going to have a meeting hopefully soon, and that's what I'm going to campaign for. But whatever it takes to get the belt is what will be done there.
I'm going to have to text you when we get off and get the name of your hair braider because I know my Ethiopian daughter is going to want to know who did those tight braids.
I'm going to tell you the name right now because she's on Instagram and she travels. Soraya. I'm going to send it to you, though. I should have said
all right. Now. No problem. Listen, Teddy, you got anything else before we say goodbye to Jorge?
No, just go use this as the first step. This is not the end of the journey.
No.
This is the beginning.
Yes, sir.
And use this for what it was meant to be used for, to give you a lantern of light for the next part of the journey.
Yes, sir. It's jet fuel, similar to this, but a little bit more potent. What it's doing, I worked out yesterday, I worked out today, I'm going to work out later on again, and I'm just going to keep improving, getting better. There's several adjustments I have to make, and I'm going to go and make them, Whoever the opponent be, I'm just going to be that much better by the time that fight comes around.
And one of these fights, you'll get an opportunity because I believe you're the kind of guy. I believe Usman is a special guy too. I should say that, but I believe your styles make fights, and I believe that your style, when at 100%, to be able to do the things with your legs and have gaps and distance to move your hands, can fit into that style pretty good. And I think that you create things. I've said it before to you, you're one of those guys who walks to your own drummer, where you'll do something that is not conventional. A great compliment would be, I would talk about Louis Armstrong. I love Louis Armstrong, the great trumpet player, and he would make up his own tunes. It wasn't on a sheet. It wasn't on the music sheet, and he'd feel it, and he would just kind of make up his own tunes. And I see that in you, that you're the kind of guy that can make up your own tunes, and you just didn't have the opportunity to have the music to do that the last time. And listen, you did what you had to do. You got there. You behaved like a person you're supposed to behave like. That's something you can always control. You can't control the physical part all the time, but you can control this and this. Yes, and sir. To your credit, you controlled that. And I'm looking one of these fights for you to go in there and knock on the front door and go on the side. That's all.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I promise you that. Someone's gonna get, hit with that one, and they're gonna need to carry him out of the ring so I make a statement.
Hey guys, before we wrap things up, just a reminder, please check out BJJ Fanatics DynamicStriking.com. Teddy provides a breakdown of all the fundamentals of boxing. Again, use the promo code TEDDY20 to get 20% off this program and anything else on the site. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for being with us. Well, Jorge, thank you so much for doing this. Please say thanks to Abe and the rest of your team for helping us coordinate that. Really appreciated it, and look forward to speaking to you again when you have the belt.
Sir, yes, sir. Thank you guys for.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Eddie, pleasure always, my brother.
Pleasure here. Thank you.
Thank you, fellas. Thank you.